Good evening, America. I am the Big Red One Guy. Welcome back to another episode of Break the Machine podcast. Tonight should be a pretty good one. We're waiting for the Christinfluence to come back in. She's going to be with me on Wednesday nights now, going forward as much as she can. She does have some other duties that she does on the side, but we're going to get into some stuff, and then it's going to be a little bit of a Q&A for me, so that you, the viewers, can kind of get down. Um, with whatever it is that you want. So like also if you're in the chat and you have a question about me and you want to, get some information, you just want to know what's going on with me and we're going to let you know. So we're going to talk about some things that are going on today. Have some big news with an executive order that Trump signed today. And we're just going to, what do you call it? Just get into it. And again, the Chris Influence is going to be with us, and she's gonna start trying to make it on Wednesday nights to hang with us when she can, and that's gonna be good. So we always have good dialogue with her because we love her insight. She always has a great view on things, and she's usually drilling down on stuff. So tonight, again, if you're in the chat and you got a question that you want to ask the Big Red One Guy, go ahead and ask tonight. Tonight we'll put it up and I'll answer it. Obviously, if it's too personal, I'm probably not going to answer you, but don't get upset. Anything that's related to some of my life, I have no problem telling you guys tonight. So um, without that with all that said, let me get ready to bring Kristen in here. And you ready to go, hun?
Here we go. Wait one
You're
second.
live, honey.
Hi, how are you?
It's good to see
There
you.
we
It's
go.
always great to see you.
Great to
you know
see you.
um
How do I sound?
you sound fine to me. Jonathan,
Good.
can you let us know how the sound is today? I made some adjustments. I sound louder in my headphones than I have been, so I'm hoping that it sounds a lot better than it has been over the last couple of weeks.
You sound great.
Yeah, I made some adjustments that I needed to do, and just kind of had to dig in and stuff like that. Um, Scoob says that you sound fine, Kristen.
Awesome. I just put in a new mic and I'm just wondering if it's connecting okay because I know we had that reverb problem last time. So,
Yeah, yeah, but I was also having issues with my stuff too, so I made some adjustments, and like I said, I could hear myself louder, and I feel like I'm louder than I used to be. Jonathan, am I a bit louder than I have been? Because my mic has been pretty freaking low. No reverb. Excellent. So we're good to go.
awesome.
So it looks
So,
like we're pretty good.
I have the unbelievably distinct pleasure of speaking with you, one and only Big Red One Guy. I know that you are always giving so much awesome insight to your viewers and to your audience, who, many new people who've become more familiar with you and your story and just why you're in a position to discuss a lot of these issues that we're dealing with today and how you have the background that can really speak to a lot of these issues. I think that it's one thing if we can pick up a periodical. I don't know if that word is totally obsolete today, and form an opinion. But it's quite another thing to say, look, I actually have been boots on the ground, and I know what it means behind the scenes to sacrifice essentially potentially everything for your country. So I just want you to know that it's an honor to speak with you, Eric, and to have gotten to know you. And I have just, as I'm sure all of your viewers do, have such a heart for our veterans. And, I'm a little bit off the cuff here today, but it is about having a little bit more for us, for your audience, to know a little bit more of how you personally feel about what's going on, especially with the last 4 years, on how we've had this complete inversion of what we know America to be, at least seemingly, right? Because we know behind the
Yeah.
scenes it's been going on for a long time, but to have it so front and center, this total disregard for the Constitution, how our military has been treated, what's gone on with these mandates, and again, our service members, how they were treated. So my first question to you, and again, we'll get more into your history and how you started,
Sure.
but how was that personally for you as a service member, as someone who uh, served our country in the way that you did, to watch this to watch all of this take place the way that it has, I would say it started. When did it first become apparent to you that we were not the America that we thought we always were, as far as a total disregard for the Constitution? When did you become aware of it?
So I started to notice it about, I want to say about 2014 under the Obama administration. Um, one of the things, I didn't vote for Obama, and I've never voted for a Democrat a day in my life, and I never will. But when he got elected in 2008, I understood the significance of the election, right, and where we were as a country that we elected the first, black president, right, and even though I didn't vote for him, it was like it was kind of cool for me. I was like, well, we've come a long way, America. Our history isn't beautiful. We're a beautiful country, but we got some black eyes in our history, and I noticed that the country came together, and then they did it again in 2012, right? Like 4 years later, they elected him uh, again. So, but in like 2015. In between 2012 and 2015, I don't recall exactly when the first thing that happened was they were going after conservatives with the IRS, right? Like that was a big thing, and a lot of people weren't paying attention to that. And the Tea Party came out of that, all of that stuff with conservatives being persecuted by the IRS, and
Mm,
then we had the transformer thing where schools weren't going to get money if you didn't put bathrooms. For boys to go ahead and violate girl spaces, because that's really ultimately what it is. Because you don't ever really see much of it going in the other direction, right?
right,
Even the women who want to be transformers and be men, okay, they, what do you call it, they still go into women's space, their spaces, and continue to use their bathrooms and stuff like that. It's
right.
more of the perverted dudes that want to go in and mess with girls. Now that doesn't mean that some of these kids, unfortunately, have gender dysphoria and stuff like that. But a lot of that is just through the indoctrination that they're being confused about things and stuff, right? So I noticed that, and then my my son was in the military at the time, and one of the
Mhm,
things that I watched Obama do from 2008 all the way through to 2016 was absolutely gut the military. We were
right.
still on a war footing. We were still in Iraq, and we were still in what do you call it, in Afghanistan, and he
Mhm,
pulled us out of Iraq, and he almost did a Biden with Iraq, but we had made some significant gains, regardless of how we feel. Again, of why we were there or should we have been there and stuff like that. That's a whole other different argument. But for me, as someone who my country called at that time, and and I went back in 2003, and I was in Iraq in 2004, and to see what was happening to the military, everything that we had built up, right? So I remember having a discussion with my son, who was on active duty, and he was like, "Dad, we're getting parts for our airships from museums." I was like, "What?" I was like, what are you talking about?" I was like, "That can't be true," but it was true. And then a report was coming out that we were literally going to air museums to get parts and stuff like that, for some of our aircrafts. It was an amazing thing to see. I was like, "That can't be right." And then he
Explain
got rid
why
of,
that
I want to,
would be. What would be the ideal? I mean, I assume just common knowledge would be that you would want brand new parts as opposed
yeah, from
to.
the companies,
Right, for
exactly, from like,
the
yeah,
company.
he had made so many cuts in the
To
military itself
okay,
that it was just,
alright.
it was, what do you call it, that it was getting bad. And another thing that was happening is he got rid of I don't remember what the count is, a lot of flag officers, a lot of men and women with combat experience and who had true leadership in combat between Afghanistan and Iraq, and the different a lot of people rotated through both countries and stuff. So he got rid of a whole bunch of those officers, right? And making it difficult. And then the don't ask, don't tell went away, right? And one of the things that I said, I was like, that's fine. Everybody knows that we've served with men and women who were homosexual in the military. We know that, right? We knew that. We may have talked to some of them, and it was, again, don't ask, don't tell. But one of the things that I said is, and we ended up seeing it come to fruition under Biden, was don't disrespect the service and don't disrespect the uniform. And then, of course, we saw what happened under the Biden administration. So that was like seeing those things happen. And again, the big red flag that went up for me was the the IRS initially going after Christians and conservatives and stuff like that, and they just nothing ever happened to anybody who was doing anything. So you know, I was like, yeah, this isn't right. And then obviously, Trump came around, and then I saw immediately we had control. Republicans had control of everything, right? Except for the court was still kind of on, like, a little bit on ice, the Supreme Court, but we did have the Senate and we did have, the House. And, Trump comes in, naivety. We got to admit that there was some naivety there, right? Just coming out of nowhere and, doing things. And he got so much resistance, okay, from Republicans, right? And I was like, well, wait a minute. And I remember the Freedom Caucus coming out of that, and it was birthed out of the Tea Party and whatnot. Then it just became the Freedom Caucus in Congress, in the House of Representatives, and there was just so much pushback. Then the impeachments came. Then in what do you call it? 2018, we lost the House and the Senate. So then it was just game on after that point, and they were going after. Ooh, that was something. I don't know what that was. I heard a dinging. uh, anyway. So I just saw more and more stuff just happening, and it just out of control. But for me personally, it started, I want to say, around 2012, 2015, that 3-year window. That's when I started seeing a change. When I actually I noticed it, and then I started to really pay attention. I was like, oh shit, things are just starting to go now. Because we've talked on this show plenty of times with history and stuff about how we've been infiltrated by Marxists and different institutions. That's different. But for actually physically see it with my own eyes was, I want to say, in around 2012 to 2015.
Hmm. Okay, so there was a significant period of time between when you actually served to when you started to really question where this country was headed. Because what's interesting, and I think that it's the common theme for me anyway, is we've had this two-party system for the most part as far back as you can go, regardless of what's going on behind the scenes, as far as what
Right.
Americans believe is happening, is you choose a candidate for certain qualities versus another candidate, but the overall idea of the country has always been the same, right?
Right.
Democrat, Republican. Again, that's the concept is supposed to be the same. What's going on behind the scenes is another story.
Right.
And then it became something very, very different where you look back and you go, wait a minute, how did we get to a place where we're even questioning some of the most basic fundamental truths? And that's where we are now. Um, when Trump came in 2016, obviously his original initiative was to obliterate the deep state and to say, I'm going in
Correct.
for a reason because he's been mentioning for over 40 years that where America's headed is, not conducive to the benefit of Americans whatsoever, to,
Right.
uh, turning this country into the idea that America is the American dream. It's been gutted, right?
Right.
Hollowed out. Um, so for you, was there that moment where you looked back and then started to question some of the things that you experienced when you served? Or when you served, was it pretty much an holistic experience where you felt like you were supported, you were there for good reason? Or were there moments where you started wondering why that your original mission, if that was one that was honestly told to you?
Yeah, well, the mission thing started to come years after, as more and more information got put out into the public, and you start doing your own deep dives, and you jump into your own rabbit holes, and you just start realizing that, it things just weren't right. Like, for instance, the whole WMD thing. Before we even went into Iraq, we saw on the news over and over pictures, footage of, not just American intelligence, the world's intelligence, right? We got stuff from the Brits, we got from Israel, we got stuff from the French. A lot of people just, oh, it was just our intelligence and Israelis. That's not so. We got our intelligence, and actually being there and seeing some of the intelligence, we got it from all over the world, right? So it was just one big conglomerate of bullshit is really what it was. It was just shit, right? Our intelligence, was not great. And what people have to understand too is the human intelligence aspect that we used to have, up until Reagan, and then and under Bush number one, okay, Bush senior, went away under the Clinton administration. So you got to go back all the way to the Clinton administration when he decided that we were going to cut our human intelligence significantly, and we're going to just go to satellites and all kinds of shit. So here we are seeing satellite pictures in 2003 and 2004 of WMD being moved around the country, and there wasn't any new WMD. What people need to understand that there was WMD in the country. All right, it was older and degraded stuff. That shit could kill you just as easy as the new stuff. Um, but including Nancy Pelosi was asked about it one time. I only heard one clip. She was asked in a news conference, and she says all that stuff is just old degraded. That's nothing, right? Like if that shit wouldn't kill us. So, and I know that there was old degraded WMD there because my unit actually had to sit on that for a night, right? Like
Really?
we were, we had to sit on what we call in an ammo supply point, an ammo supply point that used to belong to the Iraqi army, and these things were sitting in what were called magazines, okay, and units were rotating in and out to make sure that the insurgents didn't get any of that shit, right? Because if they set one of those IED offs on a unit, driving by, or civilians, because they used to hit civilian targets all the time, you kill a lot of people with that stuff, regardless of the fact that it's degraded. So, people need to understand that there was WMD there. It was just the older, degraded shit that we never talked about. Because what we call NBC units were going into there, and then they were taking it out of the countries for us to dispose of it. So we had units that were responsible specifically for nuclear, biological, chemical. That's what NBC stands for.
Mhm.
For these chemicals to, what do you
Right.
call it, go in and take care of this stuff. So you know the WMD stuff should, like I said, we can go back now and say we probably should have just let them do what they had to do. But, um, no, he was an evil man, right? There was nothing good about Saddam Hussein. He did some evil shit to his own people. Whether we should have been involved, that's a total different thing, right? Again, the reasons we went there weren't really correct. Now, we've had this discussion, offline, and I've said it that at the time my country called and I answered. Period. That's just what it was. This is where we're headed. We needed people with experience. I had already had active duty experience in the Marine Corps prior to. I had a break in service, and then I went back in, into the army. And it is what it is, right? I can't change that. I'm not gonna change it. I know there are some people who shit on their service because of what we know now. I'll never shit on my service because, like, my country called and I went. Period.
Mhm.
End the case. Again, like I said, the reasons might have not been correct in the long run, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna take not only my service but the service of so many um, that went after me. Some that went before me, a year before me, and then those that went after me for years afterwards, right? Because we were stuck in Afghanistan for 20 years. But that doesn't change how I still feel about this country. Despite her issues and despite the fact that I know there are things that we need to fix. It's because I love her so much, and because I was willing to put my life on the line for it. um, I want to save her. And I think we're at a moment in American history that as a populace, we can come together and save her. Even some of the idiots on the other side that are, well, the idiots on the other side, some of them are just never going to come, they're not going to have that come to Jesus moment. But there are people on the other side that have been, right? Because they helped get Trump reelected, right? There were
Mhm.
plenty of people from the other side that came over, and we have to accept that. If we don't accept that, we're just,
Of
we're
course.
ignoring, what occurred. But
Of
for
course.
me, like I said,
Absolutely.
that's I never, I will never question my service. I might question the reasons why I had to serve, but I don't question my service.
Wow. It was very profoundly said, Eric. I love that your dedication to the country remains the same regardless of the flaws.
Absolutely.
Again, it's kind of like um, Jesus is perfect and God's word is perfect, and what God did for us by sending Jesus here and for what he did on the cross was all perfect for us, right? But
Right.
Christians sometimes get it wrong. So people say,
Yes.
I don't want to talk about Christianity because of Christians. Well, Christ is perfect, right? But Christians
Yeah.
aren't always perfect because
Yeah.
we're all
Absolutely.
flawed people. But it's the same thing with this country. The idea of America is the most amazing experiment, right, in all the
Yeah.
world. But people are flawed and things happen and corruption happens and there's evil in this world and people who do bad things and who want to take and steal and pillage and destroy, and that's what the enemy does. That's his nature, right? He comes to steal, kill,
Unfortunately.
and destroy. But I really appreciate that you make that distinction, as opposed to just throwing the baby out with the bathwater and saying it's all and that's why people have been fighting so hard, and they've been willing to be censored and deplatformed and fired and all of the things, silenced and removed from social circles, and have left friendships and relationships because they're willing to stand up for what's right. I mean, think about what the last 4 years have been to so many people, the people who are just stating how they feel, and they've been completely ostracized and silenced. And, you had these wonderful, I mean, I just think the term J6ers is so ridiculous because they're just patriots who are standing up for their
Yeah.
country. But if that's the term, we'll, use it. These amazing people, um, who are what they've gone through in the last few years when they were discussing what it's been like for them on a social level. I mean, really put yourself in their position, that
Yeah.
they were just doing something, that they were caught in the fray where they were just they were at a rally, or just going to stand up for their country, and became essentially social pariahs to many people in their social circles.
Political prisoners. They
Political
they actually
prisoner,
became political prisoners, right? Because
right,
the government just went full force and full tilt. And when you have the weight of the government coming down on you, it doesn't matter who you are, right? If you don't have the
right,
resources, we saw that Trump was able to outlast it because he had the resources to go at it. But
right.
I'm gonna hold that thought, and let me just say hello to some of the people in the
Sure,
chat because that's
absolutely.
what we do.
Sure.
Rognina, what's going on?
Right
I saw
here.
Scoob was in the chat. If you're new to the show and you're watching on Rumble or YouTube, please say hello in the chat. We like to, say hello to you guys. Another thing too, you might see a buy my coffee there, a little link at the top of the chat. That's to help the channel. We definitely can use it. That way we can bring, if you want to support the channel and you want to support me, and we can continue to bring this content to you, and do bigger and better things. By all means, please do it. So, but yeah,
Hi,
going back to what I was
everyone.
saying,
Very nice.
going
I'm
back
very
to
familiar with so many of your I've been in your chat many, many times, so
yeah,
hi to
I know. You used to when I first started up with Red Day Walker, you were there a
I
lot
was
all the time,
Kay.
and now we got you here.
I was with
Right, she was
Kay.
K.
I was on your
Um,
first episode, or
so
second.
let me bring up this chat because Rogue Nina says she said you did what you thought was right with the information you had, Eric. We've all learned a lot over the last several years. A lot of darkness brought to light, exactly. But going back to what Kristen and I were talking
Man,
about, it's just this nation is just it's just you know we just we can't give up on her
no,
ever.
of course not.
You
Of
hear a
course
lot of
not.
black pill. You hear a lot of black pillars, oh, it's all rigged and all the other stuff. Yeah, we know that a lot of shit is rigged. We're trying to fix it, right? We can't, if we just sit back and don't do anything, how do we fix it, right?
Well,
And unfortunately, we got to play within the rules that we have with us right now, right? And when
right,
we're playing by the rules, and we're actually beating them at the rules that they
right.
put in place. So that's
Amen.
what's important. So in order for us to actually change and make things, bring things back to normal, and have better rules in place for everybody, we still got to beat them at their own game.
Right. And the thing about the whole black pill thing, which I think some of it, I think there's again some truth to certain things as you mentioned, but Trump's one of them. It's like, look. Again, do we know every single detail about everything behind the scenes? No. But what I do know is certain basic aspects of humanity. And you're not going to have a 78-year-old guy who has all the money in the world to just enjoy his life. He's already been president, so you can't take that away from him. go through what he's gone through, the most massive, and no, it's not, it's there's certain things that are political theater, and there's nothing theatrical about what he's gone through. You can just see the
Mm.
toll that it's taken on him and his family. Um, he would not be needing to go through any of this when he can just, like I always say, just float around in Fiji or at Mar-a-Lago and enjoy his life. He wouldn't have to do it. It'd
True.
be somebody else in his place. He would have been like, all right,
It's
did
true.
that. Not every single day, just day in, day out, dealing with what he's dealing with. So, no, the whole black pill thing, it's like, oh, just, it's all the same. No, it's not all the same. We experienced 4 years that was very different from the 4 years before that. So it's not all the same. Um,
Yeah.
you're talking about just full blown communist puppets that are not the same as a, you know, person who's been an American patriot for over 40 years, who's built major businesses and, skyscrapers and has employed thousands of people. It's not the same thing. So
Absolutely.
it's not the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I knew
Yeah,
how he moved because, being from New York, I was very familiar with him and, how he did things and I just knew how he moved. And like everybody wanted to be with him, everybody wanted to be him, everybody was his friend. And then, they anointed, what do you call it, Hillary Clinton as the next coming. And, she lost, right? She got her ass handed to her. And, everybody just turned at that point. And, with
shocker.
him, yeah, with him going back to his first administration, okay, his first run, the deep state closed ranks on him when he went after Comey. As soon as he fired Comey, the deep state, like he already had the shit going on with they were already doing impeachment stuff and everything. But when he fired Comey, okay, the deep state closed ranks, and it was a whirlwind for him. And he did a interview with Dr. Phil of all people, and he admitted to that. He said, of his naivety and the things that he didn't know. Okay,
Right,
he had people in his ear telling him you need to hire this person, you need to hire that person. He thought these
right.
people had his best interest, and they didn't. They only had the interest, as we see, they only had their best interest in themselves because they wanted to continue to line their pockets,
Uh-huh.
with some of the freaking shenanigans that were going on. And in that same interview, he said, "But I know who the players are now."
Right,
Okay, and I
right.
know who's doing what. And as we see what he's gone, they can't. The Marxist state media can't keep up with him. Nobody is keeping up with what he's doing right now. He has shocked the system so fast and
So
so hard, and people crying and bitching, and they're out in the streets right now. We're gonna fight in the streets. You ain't gonna fight in the streets. You ain't gonna do jack shit. You know what I'm
well,
saying? You're gonna sit there with your thumb in your ass and do nothing. That's what you're gonna do because things are happening so fast. And is everything gonna be correct coming out? No, there's gonna be doing things. We saw with the whole US aid thing, right? All right, it's they were paying off. Well, those of us who've been paying attention know that USAID has been a corrupt institution for a long time, okay?
mhm,
And it's been a money laundering scheme, and a lot of us have been talking about that for ages. But, you know, we find that like the Politico has gotten most of their funding from USAID.
mhm.
That shit came out like a day or two ago, and they like their stock has tanked. Everything is going like south. They had to fire people because their money has been pulled from them, right? And you know, uh, they're taking a fine comb to everything. This shit with Doge, no matter whether we like it or not, it's perfect. I think it's a beautiful thing. They're going after everything. Elon Musk, say what you want about him. He has his flaws. There are plenty of things to get him on and gig him on. But the kids he's got working for him, because that's what they are, 20-some-year-old kids, they're taking shit fine comb to absolutely everything to the point that the Fed has let them in to look at their shit. Amazing. That came out today. I was like, what? The Fed is
Uh-huh,
actually, because the Fed is really not beholden to the president. They're really beholden to Congress,
uh-huh.
and Congress has got their, doesn't matter whether they have a DRR, their hands are in everything and they're lining their pockets from everywhere. So, just to see what's going on, and these people are outing themselves. So they're out in the streets and they're complaining about this and they're complaining about that. And, but every time they say something, they out themselves about some other shit of how they're lining their pockets.
Stay right there. 1 second.
Yep. So, this is just a beautiful thing, fam. It's really, really, really good to see. I'm with you. I'm with you. Yes, 1334. We got to audit the Fed, just audit the shit out of them, and everybody gets it. It's good to see people losing their jobs, And these agents that went after the political prisoners, the J6ers and whatnot, they were getting fired. They're getting fired left and right. Prosecutors are getting fired left and right. It just doesn't matter it's not even just the DOJ. They're toying around now with finally trying to find a way to end the Department of Education, which has been a disaster. And we're like 30th or something in the world with education, where we used to be like at a minimum we used to be number 3
Oh,
in the world, prior
so
to the Department
ridiculous.
of Education. So
That's the word.
everything is changing, and
Yeah,
this is something that needed to get done. It is the system had needed to get it needed to be chlorinated really, really bad. And
chlorinated.
again, is he going to get everything? Probably not. All right, it's going to take some more time to do it, which is why one of the things we're constantly talking about on the show is pay attention and stay in the fight. Right, stay in the fight. The fight is not over. We got to stay in the fight. Trump is just one man. When he's gone in 2028, then what? Right, we're just going to sit. We can't sit back on our laurels and
Well,
not do anything. We have to continue to
absolutely.
grind.
And it's absolutely. And to just add to that is that this is such a comprehensive issue. And I think that when you have to look at both sides. And I think that those of us who are all excited and happy as we should be that, he's back in office and doing what he's doing, just turn your head a little bit and see the conversation that's going on. And again, there's only so much they can do and say, but it is affecting culture and society when you go into the message boards, you go into certain parts of social media, and it's the same thing as before. Nothing's changing on the left. They're just gearing up for whatever 2.0 version of evil crap they're doing.
Right.
Again, you have a lot of very, for instance, like take Jamie Lee Curtis, for example. I think she's a great actress. I loved her in Trading Places, and she's a great
It's
actress.
one of my favorite movies. That's one of the funniest
Yeah,
movies that came out in the
one of the
1980s.
greatest movies. I was raised on it. One of the greatest movies ever. And I love a lot of these actors and actresses for their art and for their craft, and that's great. But when they start speaking about, you know, Cynthia Nixon, another great actress, she's saying
Ugh.
all kids are trans and every kid I know is trans. Like, what are you talking about? 20 years ago, there was no such thing as trans. I'm not saying that there aren't people with genuine gender dysphoria, and God bless them. And I hope that, we should help them and, do everything we can to take care of people who have problems, as far as their identity. And, it's, it's a mental illness essentially is what it is. I'm
It
sorry,
is.
but
It's
it is.
absolutely mental. It is.
Um, and
100%.
God made them male and female, and there's this business of gender assigned at birth. It's like, what are we doing? And, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but there are so many people who are these young kids who are absolute casualties of this ideological war, and nobody talks about them. Go on to
Yeah.
YouTube and you'll see thousands, not hundreds, thousands of these people who are 15, 18, 20 years old, and their lives are destroyed and nobody helps, nobody cares about them anymore. They're ostracized from their own community, right? And they're left with, castrated and surgical wounds, and they're infected, and they're
Yeah.
more depressed than ever, and they're wondering like how could my family, my parents, my teachers allow this to happen to me at 17 years old, get a double mastectomy. Like, are you kidding me? Like, look at
Yeah.
Chloe Cole. What a
Yeah. I
brave
know.
young girl. She
I'm
goes
trying
to
desperately to get her on the show because I
Yeah,
want
I
her to
hope
tell her
you
story.
can. She's amazing. Here she is now. She's 18 years old, 17. When she was 15, she had her breasts removed. Her scars never healed. They leak. God, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But she says it's always painful. She's essentially could be sterile. Her vocal folds are lengthened, so she has a deep voice. And here she is now
Yeah.
saying, I was never a boy. And I was
Yeah.
someone who believed wholeheartedly that I was what I believed, the trans thing, which is a social fad. And when they question it, nobody cares and nobody
Yeah.
talks about them. So,
They get ostracized, like you said, and
yeah,
their
yeah,
whole community turns on them, and nobody wants to talk to them. And believe it or not, we're the ones that actually bring them in
yeah,
to let them tell their
yeah,
stories and stuff like that.
and
You
yeah,
know,
so I'm so sorry. She said that, people want to annihilate my daughter, and this is fascism. No one wants to annihilate your child. They want to help your child. But it's the idea that this is a reality is the problem that is propagated and perpetrated throughout schools and society. And we turned around and it's a completely different world where now little kids can just come home and say, Mommy, I'm a boy, Mommy, I'm a girl, and they're the other, they're the opposite sex, and they come home and we're just supposed to go along with it and be like, oh yeah, this is normal, where we have an entire
yeah,
nation of eunuchs. We have an entire
yeah.
nation of androgynous people, like, and that's supposed to be okay? Like, unbelievable. And anyway, I'm just saying now they're playing the I'm scared and this is fascism. No, we were scared when this nonsense was considered the glorifying of society and that everybody should
I
take
know.
part in it.
Yeah.
So, what say you about where we're headed in that direction?
So we're actually headed in the right direction. First executive order out of one of the first executive orders out of the Trump administration that he signed was, male, female. That's it. This is what we're no more identifying. Nothing on passports, none of this shit. And what he did today was actually fantastic. He signed an executive order protecting women and female sports in general. Okay, so little girls and women in general don't have to worry about men being in their lockers anymore and stuff like that. So, what
Isn't
people
that
have to
nice?
understand is that, yeah, it was fantastic. Well, what people have to understand about this is that this was a grift, a financial grift, okay? Because that's what it really is, all right?
Mhm.
It's a meat market of just making money on the puberty blockers and all that other stuff. The it's so expensive to do one of these transition actual surgeries, right? So they're just making money on mutilating children.
Mutilating.
So
It's not even like they
you
don't
know,
even know what they're doing. It's not even a real surgery. They're just like, "Oh, should I do?"
yeah,
Like,
they're just
I don't know what
mutilating
they're doing.
kids, and he signed an executive order about not about stopping any transitions for anybody under the age of 19, right? So that's a good thing, right? We're starting to see the reason why they're out there complaining. The Cynthia Nixons of the world is because she's an awful, right? She's an affluent white female fucking liberal but lesbian in her point, and the Lokes,
I've
the
never heard of
lesbians of
that
color,
before.
they
That's
do that to
awful.
their children, right? Because Cynthia Nixon is living vicariously through her son, okay, because she wanted a daughter. All right. So what she did is, and like the Megan Foxes of the world and stuff like that, and all these people doing this, they it's mainly happening to little boys that it's happening to, right? It's not that it's not happening to little girls, and little girls aren't getting, messed up in
Right,
the head.
right. But
And
the
again,
little
with the
boys are
mastectomies and
different.
everything, but
Right,
it's mainly little
right,
boys. And again, it
right.
is the emasculation of the American spirit. That's how I
Mhm.
see it. All right. They want to, because
100%.
if you don't have strong men in this country leading, all right,
Mhm.
and being, stepping up to be leaders and stepping up to sign their name and raise their hand and take the oath to protect this nation, okay,
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
enemies both foreign and domestic, no matter what that capacity is, all right, then it's easier to take over. And they were getting very, very close to that. So we
Yeah.
dodged like a serious bullet, all
Miss
right, when it comes
a
to
missile.
it was right. It was a ballistic missile that was about to
Yeah.
take us out, like, permanently. We weren't going to recover from it, right?
No.
So the fact that the country got together, and again, we had a lot of people from on the other side who joined in with us and were like, common sense people, like, yeah, we might not agree on a lot of shit, but this thing with the woke ideology and stuff like that, because that's another thing you asked me,
Disgusting.
like, when I saw things changing. um I want to say I started seeing it, personally. I started seeing it in like the late 1990s and early 2000s in commercials and stuff like that, right? They were
Mhm.
starting to they were starting to emasculate men in commercials, and they were
Mhm.
making us look like dummies. So essentially, the what do you call it? It was, the ad agencies and commercials were being created essentially by homos and freaking, and women, and feminist women that just wanted to, make men look like shit. And that has gone on since like the late 1990s up until recently, up until now, and it's still going on. If you watch TV and stuff like that, you see that it is complete emasculation, but they're losing. And that's the good thing, is that a lot of people have woken up. And one of the things I tell people all the time when you've heard me say, well, I'm a geek too, right? And I like to game and stuff like that. A lot of the gamers, okay, especially on YouTube and now on Rumble on both platforms, okay, were in the culture war in 2015, right? And they were fighting against the woke ideology and stuff like that. And they may not necessarily, like I say, agree on everything we do as Christian conservatives, but a lot of them were also Christian conservatives themselves, and they
Mhm,
were getting silenced, and they were getting banned, they were getting their videos taken down. They were fighting against Disney and stuff like that, and they were fighting against Warner Brothers and fighting against Amazon and everything, the shit that they were putting out, especially when it came to trying to indoctrinate kids with stuff and everything. And they were fighting. They've been in the trenches when as far as the culture war for a long time. And one of the things you've heard me say it, and we've talked about, is that one of the things I want to try to do is try to bridge that gap, because there are a lot of them that have some really good insight on all this woke shit and everything like that.
yeah,
And again,
I love great
they've been in
people
the
in the
trenches
industry.
fighting. Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
I'm in the
So
industry myself, and I think that that's another thing, another conversation that I will be having with my audience is, I have a real strong understanding of both sides as an American and someone who's been in the industry a long time as a,
right.
you know, film director and producer, and they're wonderful people, amazing. There are a lot of amazing Christian patriots in the industry in
Hmm.
Hollywood, and they're trying to do great things again. But I wouldn't say it's the rule. There are fewer of them than
Right.
those who have the alternate agenda, but it's not completely, totally oversaturated. But I think that it's unfortunate that those who are really, really trying to get out a good Christian, solid, patriotic, godly message uh, aren't, people don't really even know that they're there. And
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, all Hollywood sucks. And, the whole town
Yeah.
is gone.
Well,
It's like, there is a lot
because
of
a lot of
evil
those,
agenda,
yeah,
but they're
but a lot of those people that you're talking about, right? A lot of them were blacklisted, and they've had to restart their whole careers over again. And they're in things that people, you know, they're in things that aren't necessarily mainstream. There are a lot of a lot of them in indie films, and a lot of them are in smaller companies now. They're making movies with what is that? Angel Films is one
uh
that's out there making movies and stuff like that.
privileged.
And
Yeah.
it's funny because I just, what do you call it? I just got a subscription to them so that I can start watching their stuff, because like they got things that I want to comment on. I want to do a show where I can comment about something that Angel Films, made and stuff like that, and show different things so that we can expose people to the good side. There are a lot of good people, okay, still left in Hollywood. A lot of them spoke out early on, and they ended up getting blacklisted, and
Right.
they lost jobs, and they lost their families were affected and stuff, but now they're doing different things. Take a look. All we have to do is take a look at what happened to Gina Carano. Okay.
Uh
If you even talk to Gina Carano, one of the things I love about her is that she goes around now. She's been going around to all the cons and stuff like that. They're actually in if you're in Florida and Orlando, they're in Mega. Gina Carano's at MegaCon, so go check her out. There you go, Gina. You may have never seen my show, but I just gave you a plug.
huh.
um, but one of the things I love about her is that she loves her fans. Okay, and her lines are always like out the door, around the corner, and stuff. And one of the things she does that a lot of the other actors don't, a lot of them that haven't spoken out, a lot of them that didn't get persecuted and stuff like that, and they keep quiet, she stays for her fans. She will literally stay till the last person um, gets a signature from on a what do you call it, on a picture, or takes a picture with her, because they all take pictures first, and then they come back and they sign them and stuff like that. So that's what I love about her, because like she loves her fans. The people who show up for her, she shows up for them no matter what. And she's traveling around the country, and I think they go up to Canada and stuff like that. But there are people like her. I know that there are people like her in Hollywood, and people like, what's his name? Hercules, was it Kevin Sorbo? He's always
Huh?
on Twitter. He's always on Twitter making comments and stuff like that, Christian comments and everything. So like, we have to start build helping these people build up again, and we have to shout them out, because there are good people. Because
Uh
you and I have talked personally about what we say is the parallel economy. Okay, in order to defeat what's going on, it's not going to be an easy fight. It's not an easy fight. We need the parallel economy, and some of these people are already in that economy.
Right.
Okay, and they're trying to do good things. So like we have to acknowledge that there are some good people left, and that have been fighting. and stuff like that. And when they fight, we have to join the fight with them because they're fighting for the same thing as we are, of just living their lives, being free. Okay, and a lot of them, like you were saying, are Christian conservatives and stuff like that make movies. And what's the one actor who refuses to? There's a couple of actors that refuse to do things like kissing other women and stuff like that. They won't do sex scenes. They won't do any
You know
kind
what
of.
the irony is? The irony is the one actor, what's his name? Oh my goodness. He actually played the devil.
Yes,
Well, he's a
in that
Christian
Angel films.
in the
Yes.
Angel films. What's called? Oh my God, what
Oh
hell?
God, it's supposed to be. It's a take on Jake. On what do you call it? Jesus. Oh, I know. I can't. I can't.
Angel
Like the
films.
the
I'm
the.
gonna get
It's
it.
supposed to be Jacob's. What do you call it? Oh man.
Hold on.
Yeah. Anyway, he's a good Christian, and he refuses to do any kind of
Right.
scenes with
But
women and
the
stuff like
funny thing
that.
is, right, that he played the devil. And it's. I just saw the previews for it.
Yeah.
Um, and it looked really good. Let's see. It's called.
I forgot the name. It's one of the movies I want to watch. Like I said, I got the subscription so I can watch it. I can't think of the name right now.
Um, anyway, it'll come to me.
Yeah.
Oh, Angel
He's in Homestead.
Studios. Angel
What is it?
Studios. Hold on.
Yeah, Angel Studios. That is. I thought it was Angel Films. Yeah.
That's okay.
But he's also in Homestead.
It's called The Shift.
The Shift. There you go.
Yeah, and his name
Yes.
is okay, so I'm getting there. I'm getting there. The Shift. Okay,
He's
so
also, like I said, he's in the movie Homestead, which is now a
Neil
series on.
McDonough. Neil McDonough.
Yes, Neil McDonough.
McDonough.
Yeah. Actually, he plays villains a lot of times in a
Right.
lot of the movies that
He
he's
has
done. He
that
plays a
villainous
villain. He's
look.
fantastic at it.
He
Yeah,
has
there you
that
go.
scary look.
Jonathan brought it up.
Right.
Jonathan says the same thing. He says Neil McDonough.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Um,
he refuses to, like I said, do any kind of sex scenes,
that
and he
that's
won't
the
even
way
kiss another
it
he won't
should be.
even kiss another woman, and he lost a lot of work because of that. He refused to do it, and after the movie, I forgot what movie it was, he was supposed to do a scene with, it was supposed to just be a kiss, and he was like, I won't do that. I won't kiss. The only person I kiss is my wife. And they finished the movie, and then it cost him a lot of business afterwards. But
Yeah.
he stood on God, he stood on his conviction, and he's doing just fine and stuff like that. And those are the people that we need to shout out, and those are the people that we need to highlight. And
Yes.
it's one of the things that I'm trying to do here. For us, because you're in the industry, is see if we can bring some of these people on to talk to them, so we can
Yeah.
get talk to them about their experience and whatnot.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, it's it's
There's
it's
so
just
many great
important to
people,
understand.
and I think that it is possible to heal the industry and transform it, but it has into something positive. Like I said, you drive down Ventura Boulevard, and I've lived out in LA for over 12 years, almost 13 years, and I remember when I moved there, and I remember just seeing certain billboards that were like, you know, it's not Halloween. What are these out here for? Like
Yeah,
it's not. It's very dark, demonic stuff. It's beautiful town, beautiful everything, but you would just see advertisements that it's like, this is weird and dark. And then over time, it would just get worse and worse and worse. And then you drive down, and it's like right in the valley all the way throughout. When you're going downtown, it's just
it's
it's
everywhere.
horrific, and it's like it's everywhere, just evil, omen, demon, 666, just all this evil stuff where I'm like, I just can't. And we talked about this in your last podcast. It's like, what, little kids going to school have to be subjected to that. I don't want to see that all
Yeah,
day, every day. You know what I mean? So it's like one thing
yeah,
to appreciate a horror film like The Exorcist, let's
yeah,
say, because it
yeah,
has
yeah,
actually
yeah.
a
Absolutely.
Christian message at the end. It's trying to,
Yeah,
drove the demon out. But I appreciate art that is, well constructed like that. Once in a while you watch it and it is, but
yeah.
it's another thing to have our entire culture to be, evil, demonic, satanic imagery and symbolism.
Agreed. Agreed. It's like, yeah, and everything. Again, I've never really been into horror films. That's not the genre that I like. But I recognize that. there were some really good horror flicks, right? Like, I remember watching. Listen, if you grew up in the 70s and 80s, you watched Friday the 13th, and you were freaking Jason Voorhees scared the shit out of you. Okay, and when you heard that when you heard yeah
Oh,
when you heard that you were like, oh, you freaked
that
out. You
was
know what I'm
scary.
saying?
It was
It,
scary.
it, it was, and Freddy Krueger was freaking,
Oh,
it's 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you, scared the shit out of you. You know what I'm saying? And Michael Myers and stuff like that. Those slasher type, flicks that they weren't even as gory as like it has become, but they
no,
were
but they
gory
knew how
enough,
to
and
move.
it was the constant suspense of when one of these motherfuckers were gonna jump out of somewhere and kill somebody that had you like pissing in your pants. So, I can appreciate those. I can appreciate those. You know what I'm saying? Even though I'm not personally, into horror. Amityville Horror was like, whoa. You know what I'm
Scary.
saying? That was like
That's
scary
one
as shit. You know?
Conjuring and The Ring. Those are scary.
Yeah. But nowadays it's just like gratuitous gore and stuff like that. So,
Right.
it stopped being scary, and it just more being about being as gory as possible.
It's just, it's and for instance, like, you know, I mean, it being a Christian doesn't mean you walk around with a cardigan, button
I
up
know.
all the time. You
Yeah.
can be like a cool person and appreciate cool stuff and be like, yeah, I'm hip, I'm with it, right? You don't have to be some like, again, I like to say the cardigan and don't say that. And
Yeah.
it's one thing to have reverence for things that are wholesome and righteousness, and it's
Right.
another thing to be glorifying evil.
Correct.
This stuff is
Correct.
disgusting. Like Kanye West bringing. Okay, look, I'm all about fashion, and and there's certain things that are beautiful.
There was nothing fashionable about that
But
outfit.
that honestly, like no one has ever done that. Like
Yeah.
to do that, I don't care what your body looks like. Like that
Yeah.
is horrifying that she
Yeah.
stood there completely naked. She's
Yeah.
completely naked. And we've never seen
Yeah.
anything like that. And it's like, what's that for? Like there were kids there. And yet Kanye is talking about Jesus and this and that. It's like, stop it.
Yeah, yeah.
Stop.
It's full of shit. Hey, one and only Blondie, nice to see you. Just so
Hey,
everybody knows, the one and only Blondie is going to be on with us on Friday. So she'll be hanging with me and Red Day Walker, and she's gonna be schooling us on the American healthcare and the COVID scandemic and everything like that, and also legal ramifications of some of the things that were going on. She's gonna get into some things with health insurance and whatnot. So she's going to be bringing some serious knowledge for all of us to take in. If you're just joining us, I am on with the one and only the Chris Influence, and we've been doing a Q&A. She's been asking me questions as we go, and every time we get into something, she finds a question to throw at me. So it's just been a great dialogue. Please say hello to everybody in the chat. If it's the first time viewer, please say what's up, whether you're on Rumble or YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications so you know when one of the episodes are up. And also, if you'd like to, donate and support the channel, there's a Buy Me Coffee link up at the top of the chat. Uh, so yeah, I agree with you. That what went on at the Grammys. Well, listen, I'll be honest with you. I haven't watched any of those shows, musical or movie related. Okay, award shows since I want to say the 1990s when Saving Private Ryan lost movie of the year, okay, best movie of the year, whatever the best one is at the end,
mhm,
to a movie that nobody saw, okay,
right.
and that movie was Shakespeare in Love. Absolutely no one saw that movie. Nobody even knew what the fuck it was or who was in it, okay, and it beat out Saving Private Ryan, which was about World War II, which is actually based on a real life story, okay, of a set of brothers out of upstate New York. Okay,
Mhm.
so like if like I knew that history and stuff like that, and my family knew that history, so like we enjoyed that movie. Actually, it was a very powerful movie. The opening 15 minutes was the Normandy beach landing, and it changed war movies and how we film war movies forever. So like being in the industry, you can what do you call it, you can relate and you can appreciate when something comes in the industry that changes something, right? Like something, the cinematography in that movie changed how we filmed war movies forever. Okay, and it was Steven Spielberg, right? And Tom Hanks and Vin Diesel was in that, and there was a few other actors who hadn't made it big yet, okay, that came out of that movie. Matt Damon was in that movie
Famous,
as
right?
Private Ryan and stuff like that. So again, it was a movie that was like filled with stars, some future stars, and was just fantastic because of the message that was coming out of that movie. And it lost to fucking Shakespeare in Love. Nobody saw that movie. I didn't even know what that movie. I was like, Shakespeare in Love. What the? I was like, was that even in the movie theaters? And
I mean,
nobody went and saw it.
Gwyneth Paltrow was in that. I think it was a little bit more in Ralph Fiennes, I believe. Um, but no, I absolutely agree with you. There are so many times where you think for sure it's the movie of the year is going to go a certain direction, and then you realize it's all rigged and political, and it's really not. I mean,
Yeah,
who even decides it anyway? Like, who's the person?
correct.
What six people are saying what the greatest movie is? It's like it's all nonsense anyway.
As they're drinking fucking Cosmos and stuff like that, making decisions on the best movie. But now, like you saw, I mean, Beyonce won a Grammy for the best country album or whatever, like that song. And there's nothing like the song says, "This ain't country." Yeah, your song is not country. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's straight garbage when you have all these other people. Again, I haven't watched one of those shows in so long that I don't even know what goes on in them anymore. It's just a
No,
reason for people to go there and be half naked and have a dress on that
yeah,
shows
and
your areolas and your labias and everything like that. It's just like it's fucking ridiculous. Hey, what's up, conservative reality? It's nice to see you.
hey, can we call him Jay?
Call him conservative reality. Yeah.
Oh my
When he's on the show, yeah, when he's on the show, I
It's
know it just like
awesome.
it
I
just
love everybody here.
uh, yeah,
Um,
no, we got a great chat. They're always very, very. Hey, Chef Nick Nero, what's up, brother? Thug life to you too, man. Um, Chef Nick Nero is a good friend of mine. We've been friends on Instagram for a long time, and bro,
hey,
at some point, man, yeah, yeah. We
for
send, we
reality,
send,
one and only Blondie.
yeah, we send. What do you call it?
Yep.
We send stupid cat videos to each other all the time, just making each other laugh.
Jonathan. No, I mean, I just think that again, the majority of America does not agree with all of this nonsensical tripe that is constantly spewed through a fire hose at all of us daily. And the bottom line is that we haven't had the megaphones. So you've had fewer people who have the megaphones, and yet they're the minority. Technically, they're the exception, and
Hmm.
yet they are creating the rules for the rule. And yet they who do not belong to any sense of fundamental reality whatsoever, anything that has to do with American values, just human values. Um,
Right.
you're called a fascist because you think that it's ridiculous that little boy can come home, call himself a girl, and so let's go get him castrated. You're the bad guy
Yeah.
if you think that.
Yeah.
It's like that's where we're at as a society, and that and the reason why Trump won in such a resounding way, making the most beautiful use of the Electoral College that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
The way that took
And the
place
popular
on
vote.
November
Won the
5th, and the
popular vote
popular
too.
vote, right? No, absolutely. Um, the reason why that people, like you said, a lot of people came on, over from the other side to say, look, we've got two choices, and I know I don't have anything to do with that nonsense, so this is my
Yeah.
choice. And
Yeah.
somebody who's trying to fight for some sense of decency, and then you think, what, Kamala Harris, communist who has no business being anywhere near the American government, was the choice to lead
Yeah.
the world? Okay.
Yeah.
Get out of
As we saw, Kamala was terrible.
here,
Okay, she was a
Kamala.
terrible, terrible fucking vice president.
Joke.
Um, y- she was just an absolute joke. She's been a joke her whole career. They don't call her high heels Harris for nothing.
We're gonna have
And it's
Monty
just
Williams' girlfriend lead the free world. Get out of here.
yeah, it's just so glad
And
we
I
dodged
like
the intercontinental ballistic missile with that one.
intercontinental ballistic missile would have been the joke of,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
Kamala Harris. What a joke. I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
I think we just have to be woke. Everybody be woke. You have to
yeah.
be more woke. It's like,
Oh
what?
man, just cackling with absolutely everything.
Woke.
Yeah. every time she got stumped on a question, she starts
Just broke.
chuckling and cackling and everything, and just like it's just
It's such a
so
joke.
retarded.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's like that's where we were headed with Tim Walls,
yeah. And he was more communist than she
a
is. Like I was trying to tell
self-proclaimed
people,
communist.
yeah, I was like, he's worse than she is. Like you guys don't understand. Like he's worse. And then he's gonna be in her ear the whole time, right, making things worse. So again, that intercontinental ballistic missile went into orbit and just kept going out into deep space because like we missed a real major one. We missed a
Oh my
major
god,
one.
yes, that's exactly what happened, and, I just feel very happy that, I'm still recovering from the 4 years that was whatever that was, the
So
nightmare
tough.
the
It was
nightmare
tough.
that
You know,
was the Biden
we
administration.
yeah, it was tough. We watched our country devolve into banana republic politics, with like complete with political prisoners. Up to almost 1,600 of them. Many of them who sat in jail for 3 to 4, almost 4 years without any charges and whatnot. And it just we watched our election get stolen. Then after this election, we were just like, yep, we were right. It was definitely stolen. And
For those of us who've been saying this since the first day, I mean, we
yeah,
saw it happen on live television.
we watched it in real time. Yeah, we watched it in real
Watched
time.
it happen, and everyone's like, "You're a conspiracy theorist." It's like, "What are you talking about?" He was winning all the swing states when we went to bed, and then we
Yeah,
woke up and there were just mysteriously 300,000 votes that are
in
necessary for
each
one
place.
person. Get out of here.
Yeah,
Like,
in
I'm
each
tired of
place, it was crazy.
the
Yeah, it
ridiculousness
was insane.
where you have to defend yourself because
Um,
we watched it on live television.
yeah,
Um,
we did.
anyway, but you know what? It's a
Here,
great thing, I guess, that it happened how it did.
yeah,
Um, Trump had 4 years to learn a lot, and,
he did. It was actually you
much
know that
more
hardship that we went through was a blessing in disguise for this
yeah,
nation. It was because a lot of people were waking up. A lot of people woke up, and there's still a lot of people that still need to wake up. There are some that are never going to wake up, and that's okay. If they want to stay, in that freaking pod in the matrix, they can stay there forever.
gosh,
I really don't care. I will absolutely bring on anybody who wants to listen. One of the things we love about you in the chat, folks, is that you guys are all truth seekers and truth tellers in your own right. You all got your own platforms, most of you
yes,
on Instagram and whatnot. You're constantly posting stuff and everything. And, that's why I love you here on this. You raise questions in the chat so that we can, bring them up on screen, and you guys drop knowledge all the time too. So, we're a community of true tellers and true seekers here at Break the Machine podcast, and we're going to continue to build and grow,
amen.
because you guys are all freaking awesome.
Absolutely. Oh, you have such a great group of people every time you have new guests on, Eric. I'm just so impressed with all of them. Everyone in the chat, I've seen different aspects of their work and what they share, and you're all just amazing superstar patriots. You're all an
Yeah.
inspiration, and just everyone. It's a blessing to have met you, Eric, and all of the wonderful people with whom you've been associated. I've gotten the pleasure to know too.
Well, it's been fantastic. I'm glad that, we've gotten together as, and we're again, you're in my orbit, Kristen, because you're an important part of it. Coming on here on Wednesdays so we can dialogue is going to be
Yeah,
great. And,
absolutely.
like I said, I am working on having the occasional person on with us so we can interview them together. I think it'll be
Yes,
fantastic.
I'm so
And like I said, more like entertainment based and
happy.
gamers and stuff like that want to come on. I'm in talks with some that are like, yeah, I'm willing to come on and talk, who are Christians and want to tell their story too about being ostracized because they're a gamer, or they're into fucking Star Wars. I'm into Star Wars. I read the whole damn expanded universe, and then Disney Star Wars is trash.
Yeah.
And then and watching freaking what's his name Kurtzman absolutely wreck Star Trek. I was like, oh, being a Star Trek fan as well. So these are people that again, a lot of these people, like I was saying earlier, have been in the culture war for a long
Oh my
time,
god. The
fighting
Alpha?
that battle, and nobody is listening to them. Well, I mean, they have
Yeah.
their own communities, but like, Big Con won't listen to them. They think they're all these fucking people are sitting in their mother's basement eating Cheetos and drinking Mountain Dew, and that's just not the case.
No,
So,
it's
but
Doritos.
Yeah.
But like for instance, talking with Siaka and Luke last week,
Yeah.
Friday. Oh my God. I mean, just listening to them, it puts a whole new, it just shines a whole new light on what it really, okay, to see in real time, right? Your own peers, because, we're all about the same age.
Yeah.
And listening to them speak, knowing that they were an actual societal casualty, right? Not literal,
Yeah.
of the Biden regime. Like you think like, "Oh, how can that really affect someone?" To actually listen to them speak after what they've gone through for years that
Yeah.
had the other, the communist one, they'd be serving jail time.
Yeah. They'd be in jail right now. Siaka in particular. Okay. So I had him on. The 20th was a Monday, right? I gotta
I
do
thought
math
we're
now.
on
Now you
Friday.
guys, now I gotta do math. I
Okay.
had him on. I had him on the 19th, 18th, 17th, 16th, the 15th. Okay. I had him on the 15th, and he was gonna go, and he talked about it on the show, about how he was coming up for trial. He was coming up for his case on the 21st. Okay.
Mhm,
And we talked about, he told the story, and we talked about, we hope that he gets a pardon, and then we prayed at the end of the show before he left, and it was
mhm.
just like, wow. It's like, oh
Yeah,
wow. And I got that clip somewhere of me praying with him and stuff like that. And
so wonderful.
it was just pretty awesome. It was a good show too to hear his story. But he's a good dude, and I was very happy for him. He's got good things going on with him. He's working at the Daily Wire, so he's getting work
Oh,
again. So
really? Great. Good
yeah,
for
he's
him.
getting
That's
work again. So
fabulous. Oh,
yeah,
I'm so
he'll
glad
get
to know.
work again. But
Oh,
we have to,
absolutely.
again, these are the people that we have to, like, we gotta, shout out, and we gotta, what do you call it, from the top of our lungs, so that, and we gotta get them to come and talk. I know that there are people that probably want to talk at this point because it's a little bit safer to talk now. Now that we got Trump in, and now it's cool to be to have voted for Trump, because so many people did.
Depends on who you're
Nobody's
talking
listening.
to.
Yeah, nobody. Like, we've seen all these idiots. They're out in the streets. They're still protesting. Nobody's paying attention to them anymore. Nobody wants to hear it anymore. They're like, whatever. Your message is shit. We don't want to listen to it.
I don't
A
care
lot
about
of
anybody's protesting when they allowed businesses, buildings, entire livelihoods to burn down for 150 days. Like, I don't want to hear from anybody.
absolutely.
It's like, I don't care about your
Yeah.
fake, you know, facade BS, um, justice nonsense that has nothing to do
Yeah.
with justice. Your feigned
Yeah.
outrage.
Yeah.
You are just, you know, just
Absolutely. Yeah.
puppet.
Everything is just fake. Yeah. It's just again, it's just dribble coming out of the side of their mouth now. At this
Dribble.
point, nobody's listening anymore. Nobody's paying attention. Are there still people that pay attention? Yes, there are still people who are caught, like I said, in the matrix. They're going to continue to listen to these fools. But a lot of people have woken up, and even those that used to be aligned on that side, and still a little bit more, on the left side, but not progressives. They're not listening to them anymore. They're like, you're making it worse. The more and more you dig in, the worse and worse you get. And for me, I'm like, yeah, keep digging in. Just please, please,
Keep
because
going.
keep digging in, keep doing it for the next 2 years. Please keep doing it, because you're only going to help us in 2026. Keep doing it. I don't care.
I
Then you're
know.
going to help us again in 2028. And then if whoever runs, whether it be JD Vance or whoever, and we get him elected, they're fucked. They're absolutely fucked. Because if they think Trump is doing conservative shit, JD Vance is even fucking way further off on the conservative side. They're fucked. I'd
Well,
like
you know
to I
what?
like to I like to put them out of commission for at least a generation.
You know what? The stuff that they're doing is so off the wall, disgusting, demonic shit that whatever agenda they have, it deserves to be complete. The agenda deserves to be annihilated.
Right.
Okay. When you're talking about castrating children and calling it healthcare
Yeah.
and dismembering full term babies in the womb outside of, well, I don't know if they did that outside of the DNC, but what they were doing, an abortion truck, like, get out
Right.
of here. Like, stop. It's so
Yeah.
dis
Yeah. Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
not playing
That's right.
the game anymore. You think, we're offended and we're upset. Well, no, we're offended and we're upset. How about that?
Yeah.
I'm
I
offended,
forgot
you're
about that.
I'm offended,
I
you're
forgot.
offended.
Yeah, I forgot about what you just talked about the abortion bus that they pulled up outside of the DNC and
An
whatnot. I
abortion
completely forgot
bus.
about that.
I mean,
It's
ho
just
how
insane.
how nauseating can we get? Like, if we can play a game of who's more nauseating. I'll take abortion truck outside of the Democratic National Convention for 500, Alex. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
it's
Like,
insane.
why are we even playing these ridiculous games? Of,
It's we
like,
shouldn't have to.
any American who's not, like, wants to vomit all of everything that's in the entire stomach and everywhere else, um,
Yeah,
seeing that, needs to check themselves. Because I
it's
think it's
true.
one thing to say, "I don't know what my opinion is on that," and, women should have this. That's one thing to say that, and it's another thing to literally put an abortion van outside of the
Yeah,
Democratic National Convention.
yeah,
So
literally
they've
did.
stated
Yeah,
their case, right? They've stated who they are. Now it's time
yep,
for us to state who we are. So you're
yep,
offended. I'm disgusted you're offended.
yeah. I'm actually at the point where I'm past the disgust. I'm at the point where like I don't care if you're offended.
Oh, right.
Fuck you and the her.
Oh,
Fuck
right.
you and the herd of goats you came in on. That's
Right. That's what
my
I mean,
mentality now.
right? Of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this
No, I know what you
idea
meant.
of
Yeah,
caring what
it's like
people's opinion are, caring what the opinions, it doesn't matter anymore. Your
yeah,
opinions
yeah. Those days are over.
your
Yeah,
opinions
those days are over.
you need to, look
Yeah.
yourself in the
No,
mirror
those
and
days
ask,
are over.
yeah.
Every I'm at the point too where like, it's funny
Well, the
because
days aren't really over. They're still doing all these things. Like
yeah,
Trump
no, they're
can't
still doing it.
shut it all down, right? We still
Yeah,
have to do it. We still have to
yeah,
talk about it and make sure that this entire thing societally, well, 10 years from now, 20 years, hopefully by then, the younger generation will look back at today and be like, can you believe that that's what they were doing?
yeah.
Can you believe that
Hey,
that's what their society was?
hey, Jonathan, do we have lag? Because conserve reality is saying that there's massive lag. Um, if you're behind, just hit the live button, and it should take you
I'm
to where we're
um,
at. So,
Eric, it's 8:15. I gotta head out soon.
I know you got to get out of here. So,
But it is so much fun talking to you. I just love everyone in the chat. They're all so awesome. And I really look forward to next week.
absolutely. So it's a thing now. It's a thing. We got a thing now, Kristen.
We got a thing going, Eric. Yes, we do.
Good, good. I
Yeah.
love having conversations with you. We always have
Great
great
to talk with you.
conversations
You're
together.
just right on point, and all of your audience, and it's just so cool to see the community you've built. And it's, again, it's about having the conversation. We can't just kick back and be like, oh, so you don't have to do anything now. It's like, no, we do. And there
No,
are a lot of people who are listening, as you mentioned, who might, get hear you and think, you know what, that makes sense. I should rethink that. So it is valuable.
yeah, man. The days are over for it's the days of I'm voting for somebody from personality, or those are over. They've been over for a long time. It's all about policy now and what they can do. Just because someone's driving a fucking 1969 Camaro that you like and they're running, that's not the reason why you should be voting for them. So those days are over. Um,
Oh,
Scoop says this
absolutely.
is for you. This for you. Kristen Wednesdays. Kristen Wednesdays
Oh,
are dope.
thank you so much. You're awesome. So, no,
But yeah, I know you got to get going. So
God bless you. God bless everyone in the chat. God bless you, Eric. Thank you so much. I really just appreciate everything that you're doing, and it's just a blessing to be part of it. So thank you.
well, it's a blessing to have you as part of this family, the big part of the Break the Machine family now, and having you here on Wednesday so we can have these dialogues are going to be awesome. So it's going to bring more
Amen.
people in.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. You have a great rest of your night. I'm sure if you want to keep chatting with your awesome group, and I will see you guys next Wednesday. Or if,
Wait a minute.
we'll chat
Just
a little
before
bit.
you go, the conserve reality says the Christinfluence looking like a Lara Croft tonight, like a MAGA badass.
Oh, thank you.
Speaking of gaming, that was one of my favorite games, Lara Croft, the Tomb Raider games. Um,
Anytime I wear my
so
hair like this, people will be like, you look like Angelina Jolie. Well,
No, you're
you
fine, honey.
can totally look like Lara Croft. I've heard that a couple times. I'm like, "Oh, that's not
Yeah.
so bad. That's not so bad."
Well,
But,
definitely reach out to me and let me know what you want to get into for next week.
yeah, no, I think I just love hearing from, your wonderful team here of amazing people because they're always bringing up such interesting things. We just, it just sparks a conversation that way.
Yeah, we always have a great chat. Everybody's always on point. But again, so that is the Chris influence. She's gonna be with us on Wednesdays now, which is gonna be awesome. So
Oh, well,
looking
thank you
forward to
so,
the
so
this
much. You guys
continued
are awesome.
collaboration, Kristen.
Fellow patriots.
You
God
are too,
bless.
hon.
Chat
I love
soon.
you, honey.
Bye. Love you too.
Definitely.
Bye-bye.
Well, America, that was the Chris influence. We had a little bit of a Q&A. She asked me some questions and, what do you call it? I gave her the answers that she wanted to hear, thankfully. Yes, Nina, better looking than Laura Croft. I believe you. You're absolutely correct. So it's good that we're gonna start having her on Wednesday nights. It's gonna be great nights. Again, she always has great insight on things. She always has great questions of me. She has great questions of the chat, and we will be trying to bring some people on. It'll mainly be her and I talking and stuff, but every now and then we'll bring somebody on a Wednesday night for both of us to interview them. So, look forward to that. I am working on things this Friday. So for Friday's show, the one and only Blondie, who's in the chat right now, will be with us, hanging with us, and she's got some great stuff to go over about American healthcare with us. What'd you say, Jonathan? Well, she doesn't have Laura Cross triangle bobs. Stupid. That's great. She'll get a kick out of that when I tell her that. Um, but yes, so the one and only Blondie will be on with us with me and Red Day Walker on Friday. On Monday, we have In a Mimi Minute is with us on Friday. Sorry, on Monday. So that's cool. It's always good to have extra people and stuff like that. Uh, and then who do we have? I'm thinking next Friday. Who the hell do I have? I gotta check the calendar, folks. I'll tell you in like 1 second here. I know we're booked up until next Friday, which is good, right? It's always good to have people on the show. We have that Patriot Blondie 86 will be with us. She's an influencer on Instagram. She always has some great rants and stuff like that. So it's gonna be good to have her on the show. And this is what we do, right? We try to bring you uh truth. We try to bring on other truth tellers on the show so that we can dialogue with them and discuss things and stuff like that. Because you guys are all truth seekers and truth tellers in your own right. So I am the Big Red One Guy, reminding you that together and only together can we break the machine. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications. We really appreciate it. If you feel up to it, please, I need your help. Please, that what do you call it? The link for Buy Me a Coffee helps the channel. Anything that you can contribute will help. So, have a good night, America. God bless you all. God bless America, and I'll see you on Friday. Good night, fam.